Alrighty, yes, we are live and we have Dr. Ada. Dr. Adanna is a yada and she is also a masterpiece woman. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you, Dr. Ada, for being here. It is such a pleasure to have you right at my intentional parenting journey. If you've been following my intentional parenting journey, you will see that we have an array of doctors. Yeah, Dr. Ada has come again. Yesterday, I was in Bonnie in a meetup with the others, and I was asking them. So I was asking Dr. Boma, why exactly do we have a lot of doctors in the yard? So,
Yeah,
somebody now said, actually, we have a lot of doctors, a lot of pastors, and a lot
yes.
of teachers. And I said, okay, this is possible because I am guessing that they are the people that meet a lot of people, right?
That's
And that was
true.
my guess. So of course, meeting
Absolutely.
a lot of people can be a thing. They are
Yes.
constantly in people, so they're constantly asking questions. So it means that they have that advantage of the community intelligence that most of us will normally or naturally will not have. Because I'm looking at myself as someone who teaches, and I'm looking at
Mhm.
how much access to people that I have. So imagine that you are in the clinic and how many people you see. How many people do you see in a day, averagely?
Well, it varies. There are some days you can see like five. There are some days you can see about 15, 20. So
Aha.
it just
So,
varies.
so, so imagine that number of people in a day. And that's not
Yeah,
even just about the people you're seeing. Sometimes you actually just get to see people in the hospital
of course.
environment and all of that. And
Of
then it keeps
course.
going on and on and on. And then not to say, talk about the family members that just says, oh, my daughter is a doctor. Just talk to her from nowhere. And then you pick up the phone
Free
and you're answering.
consultation.
I am doing free consultation on the phone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank
Thank
you
you, ma.
for being here. And it
Yes.
is such an amazing time. You already have somebody who is shouting that you are their namesakes. Dr. Ada has been in the yard just for a year, and she is going to be sharing on her journey, how she got into the inner circle. What actually got her into that. I've not heard this story before. I've met Dr. Ada twice, but I've not
Yeah.
heard this story before. I was in retreat with her
Yeah.
at the Masterpiece Woman this the year. Yes,
Yeah.
and I've also met her and her husband.
Yes.
She's like me, Igbo married to Yoruba. So I remember meeting them at the airport. Yes.
Yes,
So
ma.
talk to us, Dr. Ada. How did you get into the yard?
All right. So I would say that my steps were ordered because after I got married to my husband, like not too long ago, I had started praying about parenting because that's like the next thing after marriage. So I started praying to God. I was like, I want to be intentional about parenting because I know what I've been where I'm coming from too as an African child. We know all those parenting challenges. So I didn't even know that there was anything called the Intentional Parenting Academy. So I was just looking for avenues on how to increase my knowledge in parenting.
Oh
And
wow.
I would say it's such an honor to have an encounter with you, coach, because as I was just praying about this, one day I was scrolling through, I don't know if it's Instagram or YouTube. I think God was just trying to show me that He had answered my prayers. So as I was scrolling through, I think I stumbled upon one of your Tuesday lives. And I was
Hmm.
like, the intentional parent. I was like, this is what I've been looking for. So I now opened it. I listened to the Tuesday live and I was like, wow. So there's even an academy. There's even someone that is saying something on parenting because it's not something that's okay. We are even trained because most people don't even know that they need to prepare for parenting. Most times we
Hmm.
just prepare for marriage. We go for the marriage classes, go for marriage counseling. Little or nothing is said about parenting. So when I
Hmm.
stumbled on that, immediately I just went to Instagram and started following you sharp, sharp. I was like, I must follow this woman. And I just noticed that every time I listened to you, there was always value, there was always something to gain. And I made up my mind that I was going to pay for the next. Nobody talked me to it. I said,
Hmm.
I must pay. And funny enough, I work with young people. Like, even as a doctor, I work with young people, adolescent health, and then even like in ministry, I work with a lot of young people. So I just noticed that there's a gap, there's a huge gap in knowledge as
Mm.
regards parenting. And I believe that God decided to connect me to you to prepare myself ahead of time. And it's been a journey. Though I'm new, I've learned so much. Like, and the interesting thing was immediately I joined TIP. I don't know what happened. I started getting parenting speaking invitations. Like, it's not like I'm a parent coach or something. Just from the knowledge I was gaining from TIP, and there are people that have been in the parenting business long before me. So I just noticed that this school will call me, this woman will call me. I was like, God, why are they calling me for these speaking invitations? It's like God was saying, you're in the right place. You have the knowledge, and I want you to spread the word you're gaining from TIP Academy to many other parents. And that was how I started sharing to people. You need to join TIP. You need to listen to Coach Wendy. Have you heard about Coach Wendy? You need to join her. You need to listen to her. And you need to listen to
Okay, I think Dr. Ada is frozen for a bit, but we are
listen.
on with Dr. Ada.
Oh,
Dr. Ada, can you
oh.
hear me?
Yes, Mike, I can hear you.
All right, please go
Oh,
ahead.
so TIP is like the extra to parenting, and it's the place where we need to be. Coach, you always say that assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. The funny thing is that a lot of people go into the journey of parenting with no knowledge. It was when
Mm.
I joined TIP that I understood. So there's even a curriculum to parenting. So there are things that I need to understand about myself. First of all, I need to be self-aware. So there were a lot of changes that I started. Just being in the TIP Academy for a short time has been so life transforming, and it's a journey that I never ever regret. And I want to say thank you so much, Ma, for having me online to tell how I started this journey with you. And we remain with you here. We go nowhere.
Amazing, 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 Dr. Dan. Say we remain here and we go nowhere. Amazing. If you are listening to me, you're listening to Dr. Dan. Dr. Dan is streaming live all the way from that's Umahia, right? Am I
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Umahia and Dr. Da is sharing with us on her journey. Now, Dr. Da, I know that, okay, so of course, like you said, it's not, you're not an ancient yada, like the ancient yadas, coming to intimidate some of us and just say,
Yes.
I remember when we were in Lagos and I met Madam Funke Bokno and she said, all these yarders that do not know that we started the yard, they just be making noise. We that have been inside the yard since. I beg they should shift.
I know, right?
It was
We'll
so
shift for
funny.
them. Oh.
It was so funny. I was like, but sorry, they
Ah,
don't know about it. And
yes.
yes, so of course, it is it is very, very, very interesting and great to have you here. And yes,
Thank you,
thank you
ma'am.
again for being here. So we're going to go into the nitty-gritty of the conversation, right? We're running fast because I know Dr. Ada is dressed for work, all right? And of course, she needs to get going. And one of the things that the inner circle people say about the inner circle is how it has transformed their life, their family life, their marriage, their, all of the aspects of your life, depending on where it is that you want to take it from. Of course,
Okay.
this is your story that you're going to tell to us. How has it transformed, every other part of your journey? And I know I heard you say that is the academy, the intentional parents academy that made you get into the masterpiece and
Yes,
all of
ma'am.
that. So how has that chronicled through your journey to this point where you are? Over to you, Dr. Ada.
Thank you, ma, once again. Absolutely. I would say that it's been an amazing journey. Like I I never expected the immense value that I got from TIP, sincerely. And after I had spent like I think 6 months in the TIP, I told myself we underpaid for actually the value we are getting. Because when you compare how much you're paying and all that you're gaining, it's I really feel, coach, you're just doing us a favor, sincerely, because it's a lot. starting from myself, I would say that there was such a leap in personal growth for me. Personally, there was such a leap in personal growth, like the mind shift that happened from listening to you every day and now. Whenever we come online, we listen to you, we take back the daily connecting tools, everything we read, the books we read, the webinars and all that. There was a huge growth. So the first thing I noticed was I started seeing myself growing in leaps and in bounds, especially in the area of parenting, and not just parenting, because I think it's a whole package. TIP is a whole package because it comes with growth. I became more self-aware. That aspect of self-awareness, as my husband says, is rooting for me. That aspect, thank you.
He wants to come and pepper us. It's okay, sir. We are peppered. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'm not showing themselves. Thank you so much. He's always, there was a time he was telling me, okay, I'll come to aspect in marriage. So
Hmm.
I became more self-aware. I like self-development, self-awareness, um, self-management, then even let me say time management, financial management, critical thinking skills. I began to think better because one of the things like we are not even taught is that part of thinking. You need to think. You can't even be a person in the TIP and you're not thinking, because some of the assignments, some of the things you're asked to do. So that creativity, that aspect of perspective, where you begin to gain new perspectives, some of the things that I never knew, like when it comes to discipline is not an emergency. I was like, which perspective is Coach Wendy coming from? So some of the things that she says are like life changing, is a different shift from the norm. And that was a part of personal growth for me because it was a huge leap. And I keep telling people that there's no way you can be in TIP, your life will not change, because even Coach Wendy says is parenting is first about you. So the moment you join, you notice that you even start changing, which will now reflect in the lives of the relationship of the people around you. That's your family members. And then I'll talk about, like I said, once I joined TIP, it showed in my language because I deal with a lot of young people, teenagers, children, and when I communicate with their parents, they're like, oh, wow, wow, wow. They don't know that my source is from TIP. They're like, wow. Sometimes when you're handling issues like sibling rivalry, you're handling issues like media, all these media challenge, they're like, wow, how do you know about this? You must be called into this. And say, oh shit, no call. It's just I've been trained in I know where to go to. I know. So when I'm sharing, and I've introduced quite a number of my colleagues, medical friends to TIP. So some of them are like, that. So some of them just feel, oh, you can just jump into there. I say, no, you have to wait for 1 year. So you have to wait for the next cohort. So if you
Hmm.
don't join in the next cohort, just know that the arc has left you and all that. So that was when they saw the level of when I call recommendations or advice and counsel that I give, is that I know it's not me, it's not anything I know because I wasn't trained in those things, but it's just because I found myself in TIP. So my mindset has grown and I know what to do in situations as regards that. So then when it comes to marriage, coach, I remember there was a time my husband was telling me that every week Coach Wendy said, because it was beginning to look like every conversation we are having, maybe consciously or unconsciously, in a week, I'll mention your name. And then my husband was saying, it's like every week you mention Coach Wendy said this, Coach Wendy said that. And he said, well, that means that she's really influencing you. And I know my husband has seen the impact because he's like, as in, like, I'm proud of you when I listen to you speak, because people come and tell me that your wife is an asset and all that. So he was even the one that, because during the Masterpiece mentorship program, I had a tight schedule at work. He was the one that told me that if I should do everything I can do to clear my schedule and make sure that I'm in Lagos with you. So I give it to him for that. He encouraged me. I was like, how will I juggle like work and being in legal, all that. That push he gave me made me, I just ran and registered immediately. I said, okay, I wouldn't, like, even if it means like losing, so I had to miss a lot and all that. So it was something that I noticed that my marriage has also improved for the better. We are now able to have some conversations that we could not have, like having a family plan, your family values, legacy plan, some of those difficult conversations that even talking about some things, like, because even after I joined TIP, my husband also went to research about your husband. Like, Igbo marries Yoruba, so he went to research about your husband, and then he got to find out about the marriage seal, and he got connected. And because he also is like, I don't know whether to say that, it's like our family, like, because I deal with children too, and my husband deals with relationships. So he was like, this is a family to follow. This is a family, like a model. They already have a model that we can follow after. So he connected with your husband. I think he chatted up with him in the Marriage Seal Academy, and he follows him as well. So I've noticed that we see light in your marriage with Coach Kunle, the governor, and it's been an inspiration to us too in our marriage. We say, oh, these people are doing something phenomenal, and we want to pattern our journey as well as regards that. And then, is it in work? One of the things that I know that joining the TIP has really helped me do was in the place of health education, counseling parents, because the aspect of sex educate your child like a pro, it's an aspect that a lot of parents shy away from. So most times when I'm even seeing some children, I ask them, okay, it's funny that, coach, you will see some children that are going to the boarding school and they've never heard anything about maybe sex, or their parents talk to them about their menstrual cycle, puberty, and all that. So it's just amazing that in the place of work, I am there giving guidance to parents. Like when I talk to the parents and I ask them, so why haven't you started these sex conversations with your child? The answer is they don't know how to go about it. They don't know how to go about it. And I just remember that quote. He said, the foolish man does not know how to go to the city, because like it wearies him to go. The labor of the foolish wearies him because he doesn't know how to go to the city. So I'm adapting everything I've learned. I show them, I break it down to them. I bring those outlines, I share it and ask them, please follow this, talk to your daughters. They should know about their menstrual cycle, they should know about sex, they should know about these conversations before they go to school, because by the time they are going to school, friends are teaching them. And it's so sad that that is where we found ourselves in. So for me, it's even a leap, because I might not have been equipped enough to know what to tell some of these parents if I hadn't read some of the books you wrote, Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, or even joined some of those teachings. So it was a whole lot for me. And I find friends coming to me and asking me, so how do I talk to my child? She's just 7 years, she's just 6 years, she's just 5 years. And I'm wow, because in Coach's books, she said, from 0 to 5, you already have a curriculum and something. There's always something to tell, no matter the age. There is always something to tell the child, no matter the age. So I just, like Brenda is saying, God called us and sent TIP to us to equip us maritally, career-wise, personally. It's a holistic program and it's a holistic journey. And I can't thank you enough again, Coach. Thank you so much.
Amazing, amazing. Did I tell you that Dr. Ada has many parts? Yes. Do you know my book, Discipline is Not an Emergency? She actually edited that book. So she's a woman of many parts, many parts, just a lot. Sometimes I'm like, just, you see how, just push. I remember, she's saying, I know I do. I'm like, just push it. One of the things I love about the academy is that we are not limited. So I met
Yeah.
someone yesterday, and the
Yes.
person was saying, Coach, I'm really very busy. And so I asked her, I said, are you busier than I am? She said, maybe. I said, wow, you
Are
must
you
really be
serious?
kidding me. I just
Wow.
said, wow, he was really, I said, we laughed about it, but but
Hey.
I now said, I've seen busy people, I've seen
Uh-uh.
busy people in the yard. That's it. Dr. That write books, she edits, she creates journals, she does her work. She remember that she's also a full-time medical doctor, right?
Yeah.
She's as in she has a home to also keep. One of the
Yeah.
things that we must recognize is that the problem is not that time is not enough. The
Yes.
problem is that we are not equipped enough. They are two different things. The
Wow.
problem is not that
Absolutely.
time is not enough. The problem is that we are not equipped enough. And I said to that person, I said, if you're overwhelmed, you are not equipped enough to carry what it is that is coming to you.
Absolutely.
I was recently watching in the brain of Bill Gates, and it's a documentary,
Mm.
the brain of Bill Gates, and it's an interesting. You see, of course, you see people at that level, and I see him. I saw why he was trying to travel, and then his PA was packing all the books that he needed to travel with. So I looked at the books. So sometimes I'm traveling. I'm having one 3 to 5. Yesterday night, this morning, I woke up and I was catching up on the reading that I've missed.
Yeah.
Yesterday, because as soon as we landed in Bonny, we had a administration. We had another administration in morning. So I was looking at that book. I said sometimes I'm carrying 5 books and I'm traveling with 5 books, and I thought I was crazy. And then I saw a pack of books. Like, I'm not joking, like 20.
I,
Is Dr. Isha Motar. That's cohort 3. And I saw them having a conversation on that documentary. Dr. Isha, I'm sure you saw that part, right? Dr. Isha is an incoming yada, but I don't know,
wow.
she has found herself in my head. And but she's a masterpiece woman. I
Mm.
saw the hip hop books, and I was like, and I look at this guy's schedule and I'm like, come
As
on
in,
now. Like
as
really?
in, as in.
Like really? So I just concluded. The truth is, if you do not build capacity, right?
So
If you
true, so
don't
true.
build capacity, you will
Absolutely.
just, you will struggle through,
You
all of
struggle.
it.
You
You
struggle.
struggle through all of it, right?
That's
I know,
true.
like Brenda is saying,
Absolutely.
we're busy, but we've been equipped with skills to power through. That's it. That's it. So all these, I'm busy, I don't have time, are you sure I can do it? And are you
Yeah.
sure I cannot do it? And all of that. And this is not to, say, oh, you're not doing anything, you're not busy. As in, of course, some people are listening to me and saying, are you sure? Do you know what it is that I do and all of that? Now, it's not really about what you do. It's,
Mm.
it's not really about what you do. It's about building capacity. Trust me,
Mm.
I've said that before. The rich, the poor, everybody has 24 hours. How come some people
Mm.
maximize their 24 hours more than some other people? So
Absolutely.
it's a simple, it's a simple thing. How come
Yeah.
you have people who are throttling on, how many this thing meters, and then
Absolutely.
people who are building lower than what it is? It's just capacity. That's the difference.
Capacity.
That's the difference. The moment you are able to build capacity, you are able to pull through, you are able to power through. And you find out that this 24 hours is
Mm.
actually, there was a question that Bill Gates was asked in that documentary. I think he said something like, no, he's not asking. I think it was in another documentary. He's not asking for more time to be created, because the time that you have, you can use it. And you've not
Wow.
finished using the
Wow.
time. And for most people who
Oh,
say,
Lord.
I am busy, find out, most of the time you find out that most of the times that they are saying they are busy, it's not really that time there's something productive in it. Being busy is not productive,
Productivity.
really. No, being
So
busy, being
being
busy
busy is not being
is not
productive.
productive. You can be busy and not be productive. You can be busy and not so it's not really about your busyness. It's about being able to build capacity to deliver on what is important per time. All right. And I love the way that George Omolara put it. George, how did they say it? Is it my Lord? Is it which one? How did they say it exactly? Please. All right, human being. Let me say how they say it. All right, and we create time for what is important to us.
Yes.
Any time that you see that something isn't important to you, just share it. And yes, capacity is the bedrock for excellence. Without capacity, you can't produce excellence. So that's why you sit in a place and you're wondering, this person has many parts. And I know I was just telling you now, when Dr. Ada was editing my book, I was like, sometimes she's doing it, and sometimes I see when she's replying me at a particular time of the day. And probably,
Oh
probably
my
I'm
God.
awake, seeing when she's doing her editing. And sometimes I just look
My
at it and
God.
just smile. And probably maybe she's on a call in the night in the hospital, and she's seeing that, oh, okay, there's a space where I can, sit back and do one or two things while on call and still go back to Shebi. I'm a cuckoo awake anyway, and I'm working for that time. And it
Rich.
means that you can do 1 hour off here, 1 hour off. It was one of the other fathers, Pastor Wale, that told me. He's one of our oldest other fathers. He told me, he said, Coach, and I realized that even the time that I go inside toilets to go and press my phone, I use it to read my book. So the time is just that you just need to think through
Yeah.
and ask yourself, how do you put it, together? My Lord. My Lord, Omolara Adeyemi. I love it. And yet, my Lord, Omolara Adeyemi, I don't think that she's missed any my intentional parenting journey this year.
Wow.
As in being in, I've seen her every day in the comment section, every single day. I haven't missed seeing her every day. I know
Wow.
some names who have been here every day. Dr.
Wow.
Isha Mutala, my
Wow.
Lord, Omolara Adeyemi. And there are a few people. I think there's also another person that I see regularly. Mope, yes, Mope is also here. And shout out to you guys. I see you guys, right? Somebody said pressing phone inside toilet is like it's here with men. People have started now. You will not say it's not a man. All of us, there are many
Yes.
people that press phone inside toilets, please.
Before the men will come for us.
I'm telling you, before they will come for us, this one is too early, please. In fact, where I am in Bonny Island is raining. You guys, please, I beg.
Oh
Thank you so
wow.
much for joining us this morning. You are listening to Dr. Adanna Ademola, and Dr. Adanna Ademola is Adedamola is streaming live all the way from Abia State, and she is a woman of many parts into ministry with young adults,
Really?
into editing, into having a whole lot, happening around. She's also a practicing medical doctor, and she's a masterpiece woman. Can you see? Can you beat that? A whole masterpiece woman. Alrighty. Dr. Da, are you having trouble? And all these popping wives that used to call their husband to everything. Can we
Yes.
thank you
Sorry
for sharing.
about that. Thank you,
No, no, no,
man.
no. It's fine. It's just perfect. It's just perfect. All right. So we're talking about the webinars. What will be the top 3 webinars that made the most impact in your life in this
Okay.
yes, in the academy?
Um, just as we're talking about like handling a lot of things, as in, one of the things that even inspired me about you, Coach, I must say is how you were able to put structure into TIP to show up despite how busy you are, all the many WhatsApp groups you have to attend to, and then show up. That's consistency in. So like you said, and just like Jojo Morala said, you are not busy. It's what you prioritize and how you create structures around you. And it takes capacity to create those structures. The structure that TIP has, I don't think it's just anyhow structure. If not, it wouldn't be where it is. So the capacity that you have built, and we just want to learn, how does she do it? How does she keep showing up? How does she integrate? Because you too, you have your family, you have your personal life. I see you when you go to gym and all that, and then you have all that to handle your faith and all that. So it's one of the things that inspired me too, because like I was like, okay, I'm already in TIP now, to join masterpiece is not added responsibility. I just noticed that you just have to keep joining to build capacity. If you're sure that you want to be able to handle all this, don't say you're too busy. So I will just add that nobody should say they are too busy. So for the webinars that have really struck a chord to me, the skill of extra, um, financial management, and a family legacy. Those three, I could listen to them over and over and over again because it's just, I will say that there was just something enlightening and illuminating when you start with the skill of extra. That's part of understanding that there is always something that you just have to, because look at it, you said something about parenting in terms of raising kings, and I believe that parents that join TIP are not parents that are going to raise non-entities or slaves or low life. No, they're going to be parents that are equipped to raise skillful children, equipped to raise kings. And TIP is for me already the extra to parenting, because it brings all the extra skills you need to have in terms of what are those capacities you need to grow. And for you to raise an extraordinary child, you have to have that extraordinary training, that
Mm.
extraordinary training, not the basic training, not the assumption training or what you think. It has to
Mm.
come from a higher realm, a higher, like somebody or something much more. There has to be an additional to it. So that skill of extra, it opened my eyes, and it also opened my eyes to the place of impact as a parent, understanding that the legacy and the impact you make on your child is dependent on the extras you add to yourself. How much are you like adding, how much value are you adding to yourself in the place of growing, in the place of reading books, in the place of gaining knowledge? And I loved how you broke down that extra from empathy to when you talked about the exceptional resilience, to tenacity, to creativity, and all that. It made so much sense to me, because for me it was like a cheat code to understand that, oh, this is what makes some people exceptional. Okay, when you talked about the accumulation, the 10,000 hours thing, I told myself, okay, so that is it about mastery. I told myself, and I even made it, I told myself, and I made it a decision that I would ensure that my children go through a training. If they're going to go through a skill, they have to learn, they have to start early. That means that you have to nurture them, and you have to be able to discern what is that skill that they need to gain and start early. Because that 10,000 hours is like, you broke it down to 10 years, and that is like the decade, the impact of a decade. If you've heard some people say something, they said sometimes it takes a decade for you to be able to have that. So I was like, oh, that's true. So that means that some of us have missed it because we were not able to have that mastery. We were
Mm.
just here and there and here and there. But if we had started early to be able to start learning a skill, by the time we are in 10 years, we would have become a master of it. So it taught me a lot. It opened my eyes to the accumulation of. So when you talk about practice, it's not that we just want to practice for practice sake, because we understand that with every additional hour we add to it, we are getting closer to mastery. We are becoming better as a person. Even in reading, in all that we do as a parent, I learned a lot. And you said something also about a parent is a refinery of processes, a refinery of processes. So that means that that extra journey you're going through is preparing you for the processes that your child is going to go through. And even as a person, that extra journey you're going through, like when you talked about resilience, you talked about tenacity, because this is a time where we live in a this is a time where it's so easy for us, we think of children that are easily bailed out, and the resilience that they need because they've not gone through that journey, that process. I remember even in school at some point when I had some academic struggles, when I had some academic struggles, and it was looking like, oh, maybe my dad wanted to help me out because my dad is also a doctor. He wanted to help me out. No, but my mom had to tell him, no, she needs to go back and retake that exams and make sure that she learns that. And some of those things helped to build me up because I had to go through that process. So some of the things we have learned in these webinars are some of the, well, I call it life skills that you might not be able to offer to your children. And when I heard about that skill of extra, it made me realize that I can't I can't forgo not learning. I can't forgo not being in TIP. I can't forgo not listening because every Tuesday, even if I'm not, at least I make sure I go back to listen to the Tuesday lives. There's always something to learn, to add to, like my book. I always say, oh, I will always come with wherever I am. There's always something to learn. Every Tuesday, coach, the skill of extra has taught me that I have to keep adding extra oil, adding extra knowledge, adding
Mm.
extra whatever it is. Don't settle because
Mm.
if you want to raise an extraordinary child, that means that you have to have the extra it takes. So that was the first webinar that I will talk about. The second is the webinar on family legacy. Hmm. um I would say that that webinar was like for me because most times we don't talk about legacy. We're talking about legacy, someone dying, is anybody dying and all that, but he gave me a mind shift. I came to understand that you don't need to die before you start preparing for your legacy. You don't need to even get to that point because there's just something about building a family legacy from the beginning before you even start.
Mm.
Understand that your parenting itself is already a legacy.
Mm.
Your starting, how you start, how you transition, and how your children and how everything ends is already a legacy. So it was an eye opener for me, and I started having some conversations I would term difficult conversations with my husband. In fact, at some point he was like, why are we having these conversations? I told him, I told him that if you don't, because coach, you said something in that webinar. You said everyone leaves a legacy, whether by design or by default.
Yes.
Everyone leaves a legacy, whether by design or by default. So it's up to you to design your legacy,
Mm.
how you would want to leave that legacy. It's not something you wait for it to happen and probably when you're dead and all that. No, you have to start now because I'm all for being intentional. And that was one of the prayers I was asking God. So when you talked about that and you gave us life examples and you talked about TD Jakes, Bishop TD Jakes, Bishop David Oyedepo, those people, their steps, their structures, their systems, there are things that they have done and they know and they have brought in, like when you talked about strategic relationships, you talked about documentation. Where is this? Where is she getting all this from? Where is Coach Wendy getting all this from? Seriously, some of those things were so eye-opening, and I decided that I told my husband, honey, we need to start having these difficult conversations. Yes, they might not be easy, but it shows that you are ready and intentional about, you don't just want to just exist. You want to
Mm.
make sure that the
Mm.
legacy you're leaving and
Mm.
you're living that intentional. So it was a whole lot. The package was a lot.
Mm.
And for me, we've not gotten there because like I'm a new yada, and for me it's a growing process, brick by brick, precepts upon precepts, adding knowledge to. And so one day you have this conversation, you're able to build upon this and you just keep growing. So it made me realize that there's a lot that we don't know, and there's still a lot that apart from even knowing, even to implement is another, that's another journey on its own. So creating the family identity, creating the family legacy. So these are questions that, and another thing that you spoke about was one of the things that struck me. I told myself that this is something we need to train ourselves to, because talking to people, you spoke about the blessing. You spoke about the blessing. You spoke about the words that we speak to children. I intentionally told myself that even within the first early years of my child, I have to be careful of the words I speak to the child. Because, like for children, because, okay, sometimes when we go for boot camps, one of the things I've realized that helps these young people get programmed is the words that we speak to them, the blessing, whether by spoken words or by affirmation. And here we grow up in a system that it's careless with words. We just call children names, and
Mm,
sometimes I see
mm,
parents do that, like make some very nasty comments about their child, cursing them and all that. And I just realized that it's because they've not understood the
mm,
importance of the words that they are speaking and all that. And
mm,
so there was a lot to take back from that, because, and it's something that we are still yet to unlearn
mm.
from the will I call it the default that we grew from, the
Yeah.
default we grew from. We are still yet to unlearn from it, and it's a
Mm,
journey that we are still taking. And I'm grateful
mm,
to God that I'm aware. So that self-awareness, I even began to ask myself, okay, so what are the things that I need to unlearn? What are the
mm,
things that I need to, because you have to be so intentional. These things don't just happen by
mm,
accident.
mm,
There's a lot of intentionality added to it. So what are the things I need to unlearn? Am I intentional even about documentation? Yes, coach, that was even what inspired me to even do the journal, because at some point I know that I write as a person, but I wasn't even intentional about documenting my journey, so that
mm,
okay, I can even start saying, okay, these are the stories that I can share and use it as learning points when you want to train, and use it as learning points. Nobody teaches you these things. Sometimes, unfortunately, you go through as a child and nobody teaches you these things, because all you do is go to school, graduate as a doctor and all that, and some of the life skills that we need. And that's why most times we don't have that extra. We are will I say we
mm,
are surviving,
mm.
but
We're just ordinary.
yes, we are just
Mm,
ordinary. And
mm,
ordinary good is not enough for you to become extraordinary. So
mm, mm,
the third webinar I'll talk about was that about financial management, because I also know that I had financial trauma as a child. Like I said, I had financial trauma as a child, because I grew up in Abia, Aba, Umahia, like from there are some places that you grow up in where no matter, even when the money starts coming, that mindset of, oh, underspending or overspending. So I found coach, I think our TIP is first of all a deliverance session. That's what some people say, and I agree with them. It's a deliverance session where you come and God begins to unbundle like that healing. He said healing to the brokenhearted. There's a lot of healing that has to be done to you. And the mentorship we gain from TIP, coach, you're really right. It starts with us first before it reflects to every other person or any other part. So this thing about financial, the webinar about I understood that there are some things I needed. So you would have money and you wouldn't want to spend it on you to take care of yourself, because you feel that that is too much. I don't deserve to waste the money and all that. So that abundance mindset is not there at all. So you
mm,
find yourself negotiating things. That was even one of the things I was like, that some of the things that we are spending, plenty, all these webbing, paying for this and paying for that. But when I started seeing the value that I was gaining for that, because when I joined, I said, okay, I'm not going to pay for any other thing again in TIP. But when you join, you understand that the value you get is nothing commensurate with what you pay for. It's really, really nothing. And that was where my healing for financial trauma had to come from, because I understood that I can't just I can't just continue like this. I need to know that money does not control me as a person. I need to understand how I relate with it, how I connect with all those. And the place of saving, the place of spending, the place of giving, all that you taught us. But for me, what stood out for me was that healing, because these things are subtle. You don't even know it. They are
Yeah.
subtle. They are
Yeah.
really so subtle. You don't even know it. Sometimes it takes you hearing somebody else, and you have to be open-minded, because you might think that, oh, what is she saying? Like, is she saying that we should now be? You might think that you know it until you hear coach, or you hear somebody who God is trying to liberate your mind from something, so that you don't find yourself going to the market and you're negotiating on top of negotiation, and you're trying to you're trying to, no matter what, squeeze out. So, like, because I go to market in Aba, and Aba, if you heard of Aba, you'll be like, that this is where nobody can, I'm an bad girl, so nobody can rip me off and all those things. So you understand that these are, will I call them, financial traumas that you still need to go through. So I caught myself like in that place where, and even till now, my husband still unconsciously tells me, why are you always asking me how much and all that and all that, and all that. So it was a healing. I would say these are the webinars that, will I say, I really, like, will I say, that they impacted me, because I really noticed that there were changes in my life. I am not yet there, but I know that it's been a journey and there's been a growth process. Thank you so much, man.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. We have the amazing Dr. Adedamola. And yes, Dr. Ada, you just see her. Dr. Ada is much, much more younger in the real life than she looks here. She just, she's in our WhatsApp group. Those of us that look like we are 10 when we are 40, that kind of thing. But really, Dr. Ada is sharing her journey. Dr. Ada is a masterpiece woman. And a lot of people have been asking new yarders, what's this masterpiece about? Please get into the yard.
Get
Focus
it.
inside the yard first. Leave masterpiece alone, please. I saw a chat in a particular cohort. Hey, master, what is master? What's the difference between masterpiece and inner circle? I said, Biko, just leave masterpiece out on inner circle.
Oh my God.
Concentrate on
On
on inner circle.
inner
Do your
circle.
inner circle process. You need it. That's a good place to start. The
Yes,
masterpiece alone.
that's
Masterpiece
true.
is not inner circle in any way.
Yes,
In
that's
any way. If you
they are
survive if you find the mass pose in a masterpiece, you can survive anywhere in the world.
yes, yes. Absolutely. Because, as in, like, I just wonder, how can you be in the inner circle and your life will not be changed enough? Then
Hmm.
is it,
Hmm.
it's a lot. Because for me, the life change that I had in TIP just in 1 year, told me
Hmm.
that there's nothing, whatever coach is starting, I'm joining. I'm joining. Masterpiece or anything, I'm joining. Even the marriage seal, I've made her. So it's just that when I consider my work and tell, oh God, all these things you're carrying on your head, I hope that you can. But coach, it's just been amazing. Seriously, we want.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And so please, if you're coming in, I see a lot of people who've registered. So let me make it clear. The Masterpiece Mentorship Program is a core mentorship program for me, right? Where I mentor only women who want to, use biblical principles and tear their world open. For
Yeah.
me, we call it the no excuse growth formula. There is no excuse. You can give excuses in inner circle. We accept you. We will love you like that. In the masterpiece, excuses don't exist. They don't. You see that quote? Excuses are cheap. Those that make them are not wise. Is a masterpiece quote. You don't, as in, it doesn't exist. As a it's a so if you don't like dragging, you don't want to have high blood pressure, palpitation, stay out. Don't be
Yeah,
there. Right?
TIP.
But it's just for people who are into impact, into business, career
Yes.
growth, and all of that. And it's usually a 3 month program. It's just a short program where we now have a physical program every year where we have a retreat. And yes, the masterpiece retreat is a core for us. And basically, that's what the masterpiece is about. Of course, is a 3 month crazy 90 days.
Intensive, intensive.
Intensive 90 days. So it's not the Intentional Parent Academy is different. The Masterpiece
Yes.
program is my expression of prophecy,
Mm,
perspective, problem solving.
mm, mm.
That's where my expression of prophecy is very loud and very clear. And that was something that God gave me, in 2023 to actually be able to reach more people. The inner circle is for everybody, male, female, is for parents. Anybody
Yeah.
who is a parent who wants to raise children, who has intentions of working with children, whatever it is. So the Masterpiece
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
totally, it's a different organization for the record, so that you don't mix it up. All right. I hope that I've been able to
Coach,
explain
I
it.
would just want to add that the inner circle, aside just being for parents, even before you become a parent,
I agree with
would
you.
advise people,
Yes.
like I would advise people, singles can join because
Hmm.
of the life changes that happens there. So if you really want to be you're that intentional
Hmm.
before you become a parent, you can even join TIP. And then the
Yes.
Masterpiece, like you said, it's a place of perspective and prophecy. I agree with you totally, because after I'd been in TIP for 1 year, then I now joined the Masterpiece for another 1 year, because I noticed that it was when I joined the Masterpiece that I had, like, some of the things I had learned in TIP were now heightened. The structure you set in TIP also, I noticed it in Masterpiece, and that was where I learned, because after you had spoken to us about the 5 frameworks of the womanhood, the 5 pillars of womanhood, Coach, one day, let me just share this testimony. One day I was, because after that webinar, sometimes we go back to reflect and think and pray, because it's actually not a place for lazy people. It's actually not a place for lazy. You have to be a woman that wants to make impact. So I was just thinking, and that was where the Holy Spirit just gave me that idea about the Winning Woman Journal. It was from the
Hmm.
Masterpiece program. It was from the Masterpiece. So I told myself that that means that I'm connected to this woman. It's just like Esther being connected to a Mordecai, or Ruth knowing she has found a Noemi. You have to understand that there's a place of mentorship. There's a place of mentorship, and TIP has that mentorship as well as the Masterpiece. And when I launched that journal, I didn't even know it would be that successful, because
Hmm.
for me, it was like one of those things that let's just produce. At the end of the day, it was a huge success. And I want to say thank you once again for answering the call of God in not just TIP, but in the Masterpiece program as well. God bless you, ma. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adanna Adedamola. I hope that the people who are asking about the difference are okay now. But this
Yes,
is an intentional parenting journey, and it is about the Intentional Parent Academy. So focus.
yes,
So let's focus on the Intentional Parenting, Parent Academy. Just that most people who did Masterpiece were from people who knew me in TIP.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it looked like it was this thing. But there are a lot of people who came into Masterpiece program who were selected. Oh, for the record, you will apply. No, it's not for everybody. And I'm
yes.
very unapologetic about it. Very unapologetic. I don't want everybody inside
Mm,
my
you're not called to
story.
everybody.
I'm not called to everybody. Story, no vex. But inner circle, please come. Come all, come one.
Come
That's what I
on.
was told, right?
Yes,
I was told
yes,
that the inner circle is for everyone, right? But really, we've been listening to Dr. Ada and Dr. Ada. I don't know if I asked Dr. Ada what would be her best top 3 books now, whether she will say this way is not an emergency, but I'm coming. I told you already that she edited that book. Dr. Ada had, it's a woman of many, many parts. Absolutely. And
yes,
it's something that I've actually watched her. She carries those roles amazingly. She's saying, "Oh, I mean this thing, I mean," and she does it seamlessly, really. It's just by a lot of the structures that she's
yes,
been able to actually put in place. It's
yes,
not
ma'am.
like she has more time, or is that, and for the record, she's also a practicing medical practitioner. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for being here. And
Thank you.
when Dr. Ada was talking, she talked about one of the webinars. One of the webinars she talked about was financial trauma. Hmm. You know, One thing you learn in the inner circle is that you are able to, most of us actually grew up like that, where abundance is something
Mindset.
that eats us. In fact, some people, you know, some people will come into the inner circle, and you now say, oh, you need, somebody said, ask me, oh, so do I need to buy books? And then I need to buy, I said, you will buy books, you will even buy puzzle size in your house. You're not buying it from me, it's your own. And
The
most times,
shock, the shock.
and it's because we were not raised to actually pay attention to our learnings.
Yes.
We were not raised with that kind of mindset. So you're like, why do I need to pay that much? I remember telling a parent in my daughter's school, my daughter loves a particular series she used to read. And everybody in her class, we borrowed the series. She used to even fight with them. You bent my book. You did. My daughter is very prim and proper. This kind, everybody editing, in a
Girls,
particular way.
girls.
He hates it when people ruffle her things. So the mother
Yeah.
decided, oh, please, where do you get these novels from? Can I go with you so that we buy? We entered, as at that time, my children were in primary school. One was 5,000 naira. When we got in, I had new ones that were out. I bought for 30,000 naira. It's not like I had money. I just knew that buying the book was important
Yes,
to me.
important.
So she got to the point and she said to me, no, I cannot spend that amount of money on books. Just books. Ah. And the interesting thing, her daughter watched her say those things. Yes, our two daughters were there. And she was like, why do I need to spend? I can't spend that. That's a lot of money. No, I can't. But something? She went downstairs. I can't forget it. It was Adanna supermarket in Lokogoma in Abuja. So it was up and down. That same day, she went downstairs and she bought a weave-on that costed her 45,000 naira.
Jesus Christ.
She didn't need to. She didn't need to teach anything to that girl anymore.
Yes.
The girl picked her lessons. The girl picked her lessons.
Absolutely.
Her lessons is for life. See, when it comes to where we spend money, how we spend money, what money should mean, it comes from our childhood. There is no other teaching. There is no other teaching. That's all. And this girl watched her mother, and it broke my heart. But of course, there's nothing I could do. I saw them walk away. We all walked away. So she walked away with a weave-on. For the 5,000 naira, I walked away with a set of books. 30,000 naira with other things that we eventually bought. And then she also bought other things, groceries. She must have spent like 100 and something K as at that time. So it's not like she didn't have money.
Yes. Yes.
It is not important to her. And the girl has picked it. What is important is what I used to cover myself. It is not what I used to cover my destiny. The Bishop could have said that dress, everything you wear on your body covers your nakedness. Yes. But books and learning and courses will cover your destiny.
Wow.
You're going to ask yourself today, do you want to cover your destiny?
Or do you want to cover your destiny?
And most times, you see this body we are covering, these clothes, we actually do not need more than. I was having a conversation with parents here in LLNG, Family Week. And I said, the truth of the matter is that our children don't even really need some of these things that we buy. When our son was growing up, there's the way we shop. One shoe, one sandal, one canvas, 3 jeans, 4 tops, 3 shorts. It's no more than that. Because these people are growing the team in 6 months. So why am I buying too many things?
Yes.
Who am I trying to impress? Meanwhile, on those trips, when we travel on those trips, we would have a box full of books or 2 boxes full of books. And then we have, clothes and, and all of that. Because I have an understanding that I want to create an impression in how my children learn to spend money and what they understand.
Absolutely.
That money will mean. What they understand about. So if you are coming into the yard, this is where we spend 100K, 200K on books. Glad. As in, We spend money on books and we are glad and we're excited. Then we
Exactly.
buy books, we buy
Exactly.
clothes. Oh, you
You
know the
buy
beautiful
cars.
thing. I'm telling you, the beautiful thing is not that we just buy, we read it.
Yes.
You know, it's what going on for that. We say we they implement it, they show. It they work, it they show.
They
We
show.
read the books. We don't just dump books. I don't accumulate books because I want to impress you that my library is big. No, we actually buy. We
Of
spend
course.
everything on books and materials for education unapologetically. I can buy a book for any cost. I bought a book cost that cost me 50K. I bought a book that cost me 80K. I can pay anything for learning. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
And you know,
Absolutely.
every time you look at people who can pay anything for learning, you find out that it's a different ballgame. I was reading a chat. I was reading a comment. I think that should be Stephen Akintile. And he was sharing something on his page about how he went to see Bishop Oyedepo. And he said he sat down with Bishop Oyedepo and he said, why are churches growing and businesses are dying in Africa? And he
Wow.
said, that was the comment that Bishop made. He said, information.
Mm.
A lot
Mm.
of business people get into business without any form of knowledge and
Mm.
information. And he said,
Mm.
before I started the Living Faith Church, and as I'm growing it, I've read 39 biographies about great ministers who went ahead of me, their ministry operation, even before I started the Living Faith Church. How
Mm.
many business founders read these things in their
Yeah.
field? How many people who want to start a parenting process come and say everything about Coach Wendy, I'm going to read it? How many
Wow.
people? How many people? And if someone wants to start a real estate business, they need to study successful real estate companies. Learn
Mm.
what they've done. Learn what they have done that you need to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Before I started
Absolutely.
the TRP Academy, I studied parent coaching in Africa and the world for like
Wow.
1 full year. I studied
Seriously.
everybody who have done it.
No
I
wonder.
studied everybody who has set up
No
anything that
wonder.
is tangible. I studied what it is that they've done.
Mm.
Success is
It's
predictable. I say again.
predictable. It's
Failure
predictable.
is also predictable. It's
Absolutely.
also very, and
No
he was
wonder.
saying in that conversation with that young man, he said, I studied how to deal with government as a pastor.
Mm.
I studied how to deal with those ahead of me. I studied how to deal with, all the people, everything. And he said,
Mm.
do you know that the CBN governor of Nigeria said they researched me and they found no dime of the government in the Living Faith Church, not one dime, because he understood something. Many of us in business and in our careers, we don't have the required information to succeed in our fields. And we refuse to invest in them the same way pastors did on their own. So now we are beefing them. We are low key beefing them. We low key.
Mm. Mm.
Why did they have successful churches? Hey, churches
Mm.
are they are beefing, but there is nothing you are doing. The truth is that I'm usually upset at the carelessness that we have in the business world, especially Christians in business and careers.
Wow.
And you wonder why our results are small. Our results will be small.
Mm-hmm.
Someone example that
Absolutely.
will say that assumption is the mother of frustration.
Mm.
Assumption is the mother of frustration.
Mm.
Some of us will invest as much as money, thousands USD in informal self-development. How many of you have invested 10% of what you earn to
Mm.
actually be able to deepen your knowledge in your field? You can only rise in the depth of intelligence you operate with. You
Wow.
need to
Wow.
deepen your knowledge. You will need to increase your result over time.
Absolutely.
Read, you know, create a knowledge investment budget in your life. And that's the
Ah.
only way. That's the only way. There is no other way to the top.
Mm.
So instead of you to low-key beef people like us, people get into the TRB Academy, they low-key beef me for like 6 months,
Ah, Jesus.
3 months, or they low-key, who is, what she even say?
Auntie,
What, how did she get
auntie.
all this? Blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Stop beefing us. We are paying the price. Go and
Yes. You've paid the price. You're still paying the price.
you pay the price. So please get into a knowledge system. Hold yourself accountable. When we say get into a course, it's not for me. It's not like you attend the course and you attend it for me now. Come on. It's not like you attend inner circle, you get in and you get in from. Somebody was saying in the comment section that, coach, this one that everybody is saying inner circle is underpaid. Let it not be increased, though. We know the value of inner circle. It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
We know what it is that we're doing.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's going to be increased, to be increased. It has nothing to do with you. So it's a place where you actually should put yourself in. Stop pressing calculator. Hey, how much? If I now pay my 100,000 now, it will add to how rich coach have become. It's Abraham that said that this they said they made Abraham rich.
Rich.
It is not about me. It's about you. So stop beefing pastors. They are doing a lot to grow their churches. Have you seen where they are going for conferences? Have you seen where they are going for leadership summits? Have you seen where they are putting themselves under? They are studying. Their churches will grow. Our businesses will not grow because we are not putting in the right into it. Our parenting will not grow because we're not putting in the right thing to it. Our children will run the world because we're not raising them like people who should run the world. We're raising them like peasants. Why won't they become peasants? They will become servants to the kings. And that's what is happening in the past few years. We are now raising people who are servants to a king. And that's why we have the, in TIP Summit UK, I was talking about second generation slavery. Japa is second generation slavery. Go and study it very well. Go and study it properly. And this is not to say that Japa is good, is bad, right? It is just to say that we are also not studying history. So we're not making impact with the things that have happened in the past to know how it is we're going to do it, differently.
And how to change narrative.
Exactly. We're raising servants. We're raising people who cannot think. That's akin to raising servants. That's akin to raising servants. So, except you begin to tell yourself that knowledge is important to me, you will keep calculating 100,000. Hey, 170,000 for me and my spouse.
All the books.
You press calculator and get tired. And the truth of the matter is that it won't move anything. Success again. Failure is predictable. It's either you pay the price today or you pay the price tomorrow. Either way, you do the time. I had a conversation with a Yada who, we're talking about something that happened in our home. And she was like, my husband has not really been present. Just now that he's trying, something now went wrong. I said, tell your husband that this is the time to pay the price. He will pay that price he didn't pay in the past. He will now, unfortunately. Those money that is running away, he's not going to book sessions. So he will sit down with me, book sessions. All those 100K that he doesn't want to pay. And next year, for the record, session one-on-one is 200K per hour. You don't get it, and it's fine. It's not even, just call it anything and say, oh, this coach, hey, must we pay? Me, I'm very unapologetic about
Yes.
I'm not
audaciously.
You will pay me for my time because I have invested a lot in my time. My time is precious. My time is paid for. Get into the inner circle now. It's 100K per year. We are drumming it now. Just get in and learn. Dr. Da, talk to me. What would be your top 3 books that you have read in the yard?
Okay, Ma. You said I should mention 3, so I'll stick to that. And I would start by saying that, yes, I know I had looked at some books when I dated it, but for me, I would always, I don't know, I've not seen the new set of books. I paid for it, but I'm yet to pick up mine. But I would always say Raising the Independent Thinking Child was like a blockbuster. For me, I was like, this book is loaded. It's loaded. Like, I don't know. I call it like the TIP Bible. When I look at it, I've read it several, and when I look at it, it's so much in one book. I was like, gosh, I should pack all this, and it's so much in one. So many skills to learn. Think, like, even as you talked about raising children that are thinking, and that is one area that even adults are yet to even begin to explore, because we've not been trained to be critical thinkers. We've not been trained to be analytical in that aspect. So it's not just a book for just to raise the child as a person, for you to begin to train yourself in that aspect. So it's my first, I would say that's my first, maybe until I get the other books and I read them as well. So raising the independent thinking child, and how you broke it down, all those skills you made mention of. I always say these are things that we are not intentionally taught, like the safety skills. That's my first time of even hearing that, oh, there's even a training attached to skills in terms of safety, travel skills, and okay, we know of cooking as a skill at home. Usually we learn that one and all that, but when you brought up those additional, because that those were like extras to me, traveling skills, safety skills. I was like, wow, 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 wow. And just like you said, coach, you can't grow more than what you know, the knowledge you gain. So you've paid those prices and you're coming to share to us and shine the light to us. And I listened to Sharon yesterday when she was talking about travel skills.
Okay, I think we lost Dr. Ada for a while, and I'm sure that she's going to come back. So you're listening to Dr. Adanna Adedamola, who is a Yada and also a masterpiece woman. Dr. Ada is sharing her journey all the way from Abia State, and I think that we're just stuck for a while. She was talking about her top three books, and she said number one will be Raising an Independent Thinking Child. Raising an Independent Thinking Child is a book I'm very sentimentally attached to, because at the time in my journey, I listed 13 skills my children needed to learn before they turned 13. And we started to work on it one step at a time. Every day, we ask ourselves, how do we get this? Safety skills, cooking skills, and we created a whole curriculum to actually be able to teach our children how to gain those 13 skills before they turn 13. By the time our children were turning 8, were turning 13, we actually had those, 13 skills marked out. I even remember that we have a preteen skills guide. We created a preteen skills guide to actually get that, working. And then by the time they were turning 13, we created another curriculum, 18 skills our children will need to master before they turn 18. And one of them being financial, skills. And we're also throttling, right on it. I think Dr. Ada is back. So she was sharing about the independent thinking
Okay.
skill, the independent thinking child, raising it's part of the raising series. So currently we have the raising
Yeah.
series, raising the independent thinking child, raising the girl with sense, raising the boy you don't need
And
to bail out, raising the trophy child,
trophy
and of
child.
and so we have those series. Dr. Ada, please continue. We lost you for a bit.
Okay, man. So I would say that it was like a compendium for me. It's like a Bible of raising children in different skills, and um, just like Coach, you always say, goodness is not enough to be successful and thrive, especially in this generation that is so loaded with information. So there are skills that one needs to imbibe, skills you need to intentionally train your child, the media skills, the travel skills, safety skills, and all that you had, a lot, social skills, relationship skills, how to communicate. These were some of the things that I know that I didn't really. It's just that some of us we are self-driven. We want to grow, so we aspire to read and to gain this knowledge. Because, like someone like me, I know that I grew up as a child who was kind of socially awkward at some point, but as I'm growing, as I'm becoming better, that's why I said it's a journey for me.
Mhm.
It's a journey and a process day by day. So some of those social skills, we were not intentionally trained about it, how to look people straight into the eyes when they are talking to us and all that, even communicating with people, because you're coming from a place where it's like a child is trained to be timid, especially
Hmm.
when talking to adults. So those social skills are
Okay, I think we lost Dr. Ada again, and I'm sure she's going to be back. Dr. Ada,
Okay.
can you hear us?
Yes, I
Okay,
can.
please go ahead.
So, so those were enlightening moments for me, reading that book and getting those knowledge, because it gave me some level of intentionality in understanding that, oh, there are things that you need to train in, because you can't expect to get from a child what you have not trained a child for.
Hmm.
You can't
Hmm.
expect that. So it was an eye opener for me having all that. And goodness is not a guarantee that you'll be successful. That's why there's a lot of mediocrity, ordinariness, and all that, because we have not trained and raised independent thinking children in that aspect. So that's the first. I would say that the second is the discipline that was,
Discipline is not an emergency.
yes, coach. I know that I edited that, but for me it was like, being someone that saw that book even as on the go as it was. I was like, wow, wow. Because at the end of the day, I told myself that this is a a a far cry from the norm of what we have always heard. And I would just say that that book was, for me, it was like I used it to prepare even my teaching for a parenting conference I was invited for. So it was a base, a foundation for me. When I read it, the knowledge I gained from it, and that was some of the things that I taught some of the parents that were in the school where I went to speak. And people would never understand that there are structures to discipline. There are things, so when you talk about, there's preventive discipline, there's supportive discipline, and correctional and all that. So it made me realize that, oh, sometimes we just want to juggle everything together and mix it up, and like, this achikote ekwono kind of parenting, and get
Mhm.
results and force results out of the throats of the people that we have not even connected with, we have not spent time to train. So it was a lot of eye opener to me, and I gained a lot, because I come from, I don't know if it's just a general thing in African parenting. I come from a family of yelling and using the rod. So each and every one of us, we've had our share of all that. And trying to unlearn this, it's like, hey. And when you're trying to let people know this, you have to come slowly and
Mm.
softly so that
Mm.
before you land, so that they won't come for you and tear you and say and all that. So for me, it's so it's how, like, it's so eye opening, and it's like revival and changing a whole lot of things. And I told myself that I can't even be talking about discipline when I've not put in the structures, when I've not
Mm.
put in the system that should encourage that. What are the things that you have told the child? Like, there's some parents that come and complain, and I said, okay, yes, but there are some things that this child has not been trained about. And even at that, there's the place of even supporting the child through that journey.
Mm.
There's a place of skill, even as you're supporting, correct, how you do the correction and all that. So that was one book that I would say, yes, it still left an impact, because it wasn't just for me. It was a book that I after the lessons I have used, and I used to still help a lot of young people, a lot of children, teenagers, a lot of parents who are struggling with disciplining their children. And then the last I will talk about is Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. That
Mm.
is, why do I love that book so much? Because of, I've read some books on sex education, but Coach Wendy, seriously, that book is like a far cry from the norm. It's a holistic, it's a loaded, it's an intentional, educative book, because for the fact that you did not just talk about sex, you brought in the aspect of drugs, you brought in the aspect of gender identity, you brought in the, so it was a loaded compendium for me. And even how you've broken it down, so that no matter the age you're communicating with, because for us, that's like a challenge sometimes. How do you pass this message across to a child? How do you pass this message across to a 5-year old? How do you pass? I've seen mothers that have reached out to me and say, oh, my daughter just asked me something about sanitary pad. My daughter just asked me something about vagina, and all those words that they don't want to mention. All those words that they don't want to mention. Where
Mm,
did they hear it from? How do I explain those things
mm,
to the
mm,
child?
mm.
Breaking it down and explaining it. So how do you transit from that like age? I love the way it was broken down, because it wasn't just about the message, it's how you brought out the models, talking about self-identity, self-preservation, all those things. I've not seen it. I might have picked here and here, but it was a compendium, a holy. So that sex educate your child, like, and bringing in the drug aspect of, because we teach sometimes, we when we are talking to adolescents, we teach them about sex and forget that also there's the drug aspect of it. So it's one book I would say it's a must have, and you should always go back to it over and over and again. I like the fact that in the TIP it's a repetitive, because even a lot, and for the fact that a lot of parents are not having these conversations with their children, like even in the gender identity thing, and talking about self-preservation and all that, pornography, all that was talked about in the book. So it was like, you really, you broke it down. So I found myself giving counsel when a parent asks me about how to communicate. I just bring out the book and maybe send WhatsApp notes to them and share some things with them and let them know. And I tell them I got this from TIP. And still, maybe still the financial trauma that will make some people not think that it's important for them to join the act and all that. But it's something that parents have to understand. And you talked about the roles that parents play in being present in the lives of their child, how they know that sex conversation starts with them. You
Mhm.
cannot just be dressing up and saying,
Okay, I think that I don't know if it's okay. I think Dr. Da is gone again, but I know we're going to have her back soon. Alrighty. So yes, we are listening to Dr. Da talk about the books that have made most impact in her through the inner circle journey. We have, she said, raising the independent thinking child. I love that book. The discipline is not an emergency, and I told you earlier that Dr. Da was the editor that did the awesome work on that book. And yes, she talked about sex educate your child like a pro, right? Somebody said, I'm becoming a yada soon. Oh, we're waiting for you. Sex educate your child like a pro, and sex educate your child like a pro, is one book. It comes in series. There's volume one, two, three, four, and all of the volumes are different. We know what we're doing. We're trying to break down sex conversations in all of the, as we go, it's broken down in higher levels, and we're breaking it down. Sex educate your child like a pro, volume four talks about body safety. It talks about the vagina itself, talks about the penis. That's where we introduced the guided fingers and guided hands this year. That's where we introduced it. And this conversation took another turn. And the good thing is, no matter the level you are in parenting, you can actually use these books to make impact depending on what it is that you're doing per time. It does not matter what level you are in, it does not matter what it is that you're doing, in that time. And oh, okay, my child is one, my child is two. Are you sure that I can start this conversation? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. I always tell parents the best time to start is when a child is born. Do you know that first conversation starts at birth, not at one? Hmm. You are in for something when you get into the yard. Yes, you heard that from me first. All righty. So we have been, sorry about that. We've been listening to Dr. Adanna Adedamola. Dr. Adanna Adedamola she just got booted out a few minutes, and wait for her to come and share her last words, and we begin to go. Do not forget, one of the things you need to be able to grow, right, is that you need to be in a system of accountability. Don't just tell yourself, I know what I'm doing. I know what it is that I need to do. All these things that they are saying, I'm just going to just do it on my own. Dr. Da is back. Welcome back, Dr. Da. Yes,
Thank you
you were
so much.
talking about
Sorry.
educate your child like a pro. That's fine.
Yes. So for me, why I love that book was because the compendium of a lot of things.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. It's a compendium of a lot of things, from the drug conversations to the porn conversations to the self-awareness, self-identity, self-discovery,
Mhm.
self-preservation, and the sex education broken down for no matter the age, from zero to even like down to teenage, everything. Those conversations are so, because that is where we have like a lot of people not knowing how to pass those messages across. So
Mm.
I use it a lot in my, like, when I'm talking to adolescents, when I'm talking to patients, when I meet children who maybe their parents have not been able to communicate, how to break down the body parts, how they should know, how they should discover all those things. So it's been like for me an eye opener, and I said, oh, this book, thank God I bought it, thank God I have it, thank God I'm aware of these things, because I'm like even helping some parents to get these messages across to their children as well. And that has been it for me. The being present, from raising the independent thinking child, says educate your child like a pro, and this is not an emergency. Those books have been wow. There are other books from Connect Correct, Yelling to Car, Coach. So of those books, when we finish reading them, we say we need to go back and read again so that we can be delivered. Because I myself, I know that I am still yet to be delivered from some of those things. At the end of the day, I know that it's a journey.
Yes,
When
it
it comes,
is.
it's a journey. And when it
Mm.
comes to that, even these new books, I can't wait to start reading them. Raising the Girl with Sense, The Boy You Don't Need to Bail Out, The Trophy Child, and all that. I said, God, I know that we all need to be delivered from a lot, because we are coming from a
Mm.
lot. And
Mm.
this is not a period where you say, I cannot, because this is how I was raised. No, there's a need for you to gain that knowledge so that you can
Mm.
become, as a parent, when you
Mm.
become TIP, not just even for your, as a person, not just for yourself alone, but for all the people connected to you,
To
and all the
you.
things. Like I said, I use it in my work professionally, in my counseling, when I go for outreaches and all that. So it's a blessing to me. Thank you so much, Coach, and God bless you.
Thank you again, Dr. Adanna Adedamola. If you're listening to us, Dr. Da is streaming live all the way from Umahia, Abia State. Dr. Da is an inner circle parent and also a masterpiece woman. Dr. Da is a woman of many caps, practicing medical practitioner, and also she creates journals for women. She did books. She works with adolescents. Dr. Da wears many caps, and trust me, she does that really seamlessly. Thank you so
We are
much for
following after you, man.
yes. So
Learning
I can
from
see
you.
somebody in the comment section. I've been hanging around TIP, recommending it like an Agbero loading bus, but not going anywhere for the past 2 years. Please don't be an Agbero that's loading.
Hey, Coach,
Get into the bus. So
join the arc.
join the arc, get into the bus and move. I was having a conversation with Bonnie Island here that yesterday,
Okay.
and I shared something very interesting with them. You know that man by the pool of Bethesda. You know the man was there for 38 years. The man just
38
sat down
years.
there. That was a pool of fresh water, a pool that could save him, a pool that this man didn't struggle. Say, hey, nobody helps me. Oh, I did not. That's the way some of us are sounding now.
That's a cannot.
I cannot. I don't have money. Hey, and the pool is there. Even when
Yeah.
Jesus came, Jesus still didn't help him into the pool. If you read that story very well.
Yeah, that's it.
Jesus still did not help him into the pool.
Ah,
Nobody's coming to save you. I remember in one of those voice notes this year in the inner circle, I said, at the end of the day, Jesus said, carry your mat, carry your bed and go. That's the only thing. So you take your responsibility, carry your bed and go. Doctor, that people are looking for, people are, here listening and saying, are you sure that this is worth my while? So the problem is not money, but are you really
yes.
sure is really worth my while? Are you really sure that it is really going to give me what it is that I'm looking for?
Mhm.
Talk to them as we begin to close now.
Okay, I would say just we've said a lot, and I would just say that no matter how busy you are, no matter your financial level, no matter your trauma, where you're coming from, nobody joins TIP and remains the same. Nobody joins TIP and remains the same, because no matter where you're coming from, I believe that this is God's system to us in the present era to liberate us from failed parenting, to
Hmm.
liberate a generation. Because whether you are assuming it by, or maybe by default or by design, you are in the space of parenting, and everybody is a product of parenting one way or the other. Who you become is a product of the type of parenting you had at the
Hmm.
end of the day. And
Hmm.
if you're going to raise a next generation of whether it's going to be a king or a slave,
Hmm.
it depends on who you have become as a parent. And that captions in when coach says parenting starts with you, it's all about you, and you cannot become when you are not in a place where you are being trained. I
Hmm.
would say, even if it means going to have that extra of borrowing, there's a place where the oil needs to meet with the vessel. When they say go and borrow
Hmm.
vessel, the oil needs
Hmm.
to meet with the vessel, going to
Hmm.
borrow. I,
Hmm.
I might not advocate, but go and borrow whatever you need to do, because 2023, the best gift I gave myself was joining TIP. And I believe when I was joining, I was like, "Ah, I'm so busy. Will I be able to do this?" I believe it has been a springboard to who I be. If I didn't join TIP, I wouldn't even have had the inspiration to join Masterpiece. So
Hmm.
it even started with that. So it was the best gift I would say I gave myself. The gift of perspective, the clarity, the growth, the identity, self awareness, everything has come from understanding. And a lot of people have reached out to me and said, "Oh, we like what is going on, you're growing and all that." And I know it started with TIP. I'm a very intentional person, but when I joined TIP, I saw intentionality on a whole different level. Intentionality in parenting, intentionality, and it's like a cascade. It doesn't just stop at parenting. Your marriage is helped, your time management, your finances are helped, everything is helped. So I would just say, what are you waiting for? What is stopping you? Do not allow yourself to tell the same story, because this is where the oil meets with the vessel, and then you get your miracle, your
Hmm.
prophecy. God has sent, God is a God of systems, He's a God of structure, He's a God of knowledge and all that. So we should not trivialize when God sends these things to us as an avenue. It's left to you to decide, and that choice starts with you. And we are, will I say, we are like custodians of destinies. At the end of your life, the destinies that have been entrusted into you, it's a compendium of what you became, because you cannot give what you don't have.
Hmm.
You cannot give more than what you don't have. So I will
Hmm.
say everyone to please join the TIP. It was a lot for me last year. I had, like this year, I told myself never again. Wherever I find myself, singles, whether you're waiting, you're waiting, you're trying to conceive, whatever, trying to conceive, whatever it is, be in the ark, so that you can be prepared for what God is bringing your way at the end of the day. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I love the way Dr. Ada concluded it. This is where the vessel, the oil, meets the vessel. There has to be a point where the oil meets the vessel. I saw someone saying, "Oh, can I pay in installment?" You can pay in whatever installment provided. Your payment finishes on before the 1st of December 2024. If not, you miss the 2025
Next
cohort
year.
because you have to start the next year. And like Dr. Ada said, I keep saying it. If you need to borrow money to get it, borrow money. That will be the last money you ever have to borrow in your life. If you implement what you hear, you will never have to borrow money again. If you doubt it, just try it one more time. I saw a yada telling me how she used to sell 2 heads of plantain. I'm telling you, as in, these are raw, she said, no, I sell like 10 in a day. This is me that used to just sell 2 heads in a week or something of that nature. I sell like
Amazing.
10 in a day. As in, it's now like, say, coach, I'm not looking for money anymore. So
Uh-uh.
it is everywhere. It is on everybody. Whether you are at the top, yesterday I was saying something to Bonnie, as I said, whether you're at the top or you're at the middle, the inner circle is an equalizer. It equalizes
Yes,
the right
yes.
purpose. For to become, you will collect your becoming and you walk. You collect your becoming and you walk. Nobody is dragging anything with you. We are all here to become. Thank you
On a
again.
journey of becoming.
Yes, so this is
Thank
where the oil meets with the vessel, and that is where your miracle happens. I'm going to
you.
take this as the word for the day. Dr. Ada, in one word, what do you say to people listening and we close?
In one word, okay. Um, see, you are, well, one word. Be intentional. I don't know how to put it in one word. Be intentional. TIP. Okay, let me just call it there. See you in the ark. See you in the ark.
See
See
you
you in
in
the
the
ark.
ark. See
Yes,
you
see you
in the
in the
ark.
ark.
We cannot
Don't
wait to see you. Don't be left behind. Thank you so
don't be
much,
left
Dr. Ada.
behind. See you in the
Thank you
ark.
so much for being
Thank
here.
you so
Because you
much
know
for
that I
having me.
love and honor you. Thank you so much
Honor
for
you too,
being
man.
here. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you,
I
man.
do not take it for granted. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all that you do.
All
All
right.
righty. And we're going to let Dr. Ada go because this is where we come to the end of my intentional parenting journey today. Remember, at the end of November 2024, right? We will end my intentional parenting journey. You will no longer be able to see this my intentional parenting journey every morning. You will only be seeing me in the yard. So come in the yard, and it is in the yard that we will have you. It's been an honor hosting Dr. Adanna, Adedamola. And please, in the comment section, share all of the flowers for Dr. Ada. And yes, you are in the act for such a time like this. All right, get into the inner circle. Don't forget, all you need to do is to pay 100,000 naira for 1 full year. That's punch your calculator punchers. It's just 273 naira or so per day. For those of you who drink Coke every day, cannot buy you Coke. I don't drink Coke. I don't think I've taken Coke in many years now. It can't buy you Coke, right? And even if whatever it is that you are doing, put that money together. Get into the ark, like we call it in the yard. Get into the ark. And if you're in the ark, keep swimming. Keep swimming so that you don't drown in the water. All right. Thank you so much. If you want to register as a couple, you can get in and pay 170,000 naira for a couple. All of the details are on my screen. You can use our Zenith account to actually make this payment and meet us right in the yard. I am particularly excited about seeing you in the yard. I cannot wait to be called your coach. I can't wait to have a piece of me in your home. How do you do that? How would that happen? You will see me in your home everywhere. I will live in your home somehow. And that's one of the accountability systems that we have created. Thank you so much for being here and see you again tomorrow at 8. My name is Wendy Ologe, and I'm effortlessly your number one parent coach. There is no other one. After me is me, right? Yes, I am that coach. And then, someone was asking me, that one was that about the 5-in-1 books. I think I saw a question like that. You can get the 5-in-1 books, where you are and work with it. The 5-in-1 books at my new latest books. If you pre-order is being, we're distributing. So be patient. You're going to get all of your books and all of that. And then I also saw a lot of people send me chat about the devotional, the 13-in-1 pack is on our seller page. It is an e-copy devotional, 13-in-1. Go get it. It's going to bless your life. And we just put it out there. We're not it's not going to be a major this thing. It's just a this thing that we have. But it will bless your life. I remember that if we gave just a copy, right, of the leadership one to inner circle parents, and it transformed their life. It was a personal the devotional we created in my home. So we created this setting to also be able to use. I love creating devotionals. One of the things that hits you in the masterpiece is the kind of devotional you listen to. Creating devotional is something that I've been gifted to do in recent times, and it's something that it's a joy. So that devotional will actually change your parenting if you get it right. It's a 13 one. So instead of buying it one, we'll put it as a bundle, and you will be able to get it at 10,000 naira for the bundle. If you decide that you want to actually go and get it one, it's also available on seller. It is your choice. And no, it is not part of your inner circle books. For those who will say, is it part of what I'm supposed to still buy? Mm-mm. It is not. It is part of a process that you can decide or not decide. All right. We have given you all of the documentations, this thing that you need. And get ready if you're a new yada, get into the yard, get your books, get ready, right? And get going. Thank you again. If you are also haven't been able to get your 5-in-1 books, Raising the Girl with Sense, Raising the Girl You Don't Need to Bail Out, Raising the Boy You Don't Need to Bail Out, Raising the Trophy Child, and Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, volume 4, and then The Parenting Advantage, 5 of them. In fact, I brought some copies, the team brought copy with that. It didn't land on the floor. Those books are amazing. Get your copies, get the copies of our books, start to read even while you're waiting for the inner circle. I had a session with an American family that is coming into the yard, and they were telling me how they started reading the books. I'm like, hey, people are going to give us a run, right? They've read like 2, 3 of the books, and the man was like, I've been able to chronicle. We've had these books all the while. I didn't even know that we've actually always had this book here. Some of them, and they're reading, reviewing, putting it together. People are running already. People, incoming yarders are already running. They've left you. They are not waiting until the class is starting. They are already running. So by the 1st of December, you see people who are already far ahead, and you're wondering, how did they have all these results? Are we not all here together? Everybody is running their race. So run your race. Get your books. Run your race. Start running. Stop waiting. Thank you so much again for being here. See you in the yard. I can't wait to be here with you. I need to go because I also have a session where I am right now. Thank you and God bless you.